In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to transfer files from an IBM compatible computer running Windows to a TRS-80 Model 4. This process will probably also work with the Model 3 and maybe even the Model 1. I'm unable to demonstrate either of those computers right now. The story behind this video is I owned this TRS-80 Model 4 for about 15 years or so, and for that whole time all I really had available to me was a DOS disk. This one, kind of hard to read, it says LDOS 6.3.1. Now with LDOS I can load up an operating system, I can format blank disks, I can run BASIC, I can type in programs in BASIC, I can save them, I can use basic programs, but I can't use any of the library of available software that was made for the TRS-80. Now, in the world of emulation, it's real easy to copy files and programs from a TRS-80 to the PC. However, there is very little information on how to initiate the process going from the PC to the TRS-80. And after all these years, I finally sat down, put some thought to it, and figured out how I can start getting files moved over, so all the stuff that I have been able to use in emulation can now be used on the real computer. To get started, I'll show you what my hardware configuration is. I'm running I guess it's kind of a all-in-one desktop system, and I'm using a USB to RS-232 or serial port adapter. From the serial port adapter, I'm running what's called a lap link cable, which is basically a null modem cable that can go between either a 25-pin or a 9-pin connection all the way through back to the TRS-80. I'm not going to pull this out, but it goes to the back of the TRS-80 with the right kind of connection adapters, and it goes into the RS-232 port of the TRS-80. On the PC side of things, first thing I need to do is have a communications program running. Now this is running Windows 7, and unlike the other versions of Windows, Windows 7 does not come with the hyperterminal terminal program. So I had to download another terminal program, one that supported specific type of file transfers. I found a program called Teraterm, T-E-R-A-T-E-R-M, and it's available, it's freeware. On the Vintage Volts website you'll find a link to Teraterm. So I have this loaded up right now, and I have it running in the following serial configuration. My serial port is on COM2. I currently have the baud rate set at 300, and you'll understand later why I have it set to 300. My other communications parameters are 8-bit data, no parity, and 1 stop bit with hardware flow control. It doesn't really make a difference if you understand what those settings are, as long as you use those settings initially. So I'll hit OK, and that defines the setup on the PC side. On the TRS-80 side, I have the TRS-80 Model 4. Now this TRS-80 also has a 5 megabyte hard drive that I got recently for it, but I'm not going to be using that. I'm not going to turn that on. I'm only going to use the TRS-80 with the DOS disk and the second drive. So I'll go ahead and turn this on right now. The operating system boots up and it expects a date, but since this operating system doesn't understand the year 2012, I just put in January 1st, 2001. It likes that, and I won't put a time in that it asks for. So it's all ready to go in LDOS, or LS-DOS is the actual name of the operating system. One of the first things I need to get ready on the TRS-80 is formatting a floppy disk I'll put it in my second drive. This needs to be formatted. I have to have a formatted disk ready to receive files from the PC. So to format, I just type format. Ask which drive is to be used. Well, my secondary drive is drive number 1. The main drive is drive 0. Diskette name, I'll just call this transfer. I won't enter a password. It's double density, one-sided, 40 cylinders. Now this disk may have data. Yeah, it already has data on it, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to go ahead and reformat it. So yes, I want to reformat it. Now that the formatting is done, I need to set the communications parameters on the TRS-80 in order to get it ready to receive a file. First thing I need to do is define the serial port driver. To do that, I type set. The driver is called *CL, and the driver file is com/dvr. Now the RS-232 driver is set up. Now I need to set the communications parameters using the setcom command, SETCOM. Now running setcom by itself shows you the existing parameters. We have a baud rate of 300, so I won't need to change that. We have a word length of 7 bits. I'll need to change that to an 8. Stop bit of 1, that's correct. Parity is even. This needs to be odd. Plus there's other hardware control properties that I need to change to, and you'll see that as I type the command. So to change these values, I'll type setcom, and in parentheses I'll define each parameter and give it a new value. So word equals 8, parity equal none, and the other parameters I need to change: RTS equal on, DSR equals on, and CTS equals on. Close the parentheses. Now the final part of this is to activate the COM program that's built into the operating system. What the COM program is a very rudimentary communications program to let you type to another computer and receive typed in data from the other computer that you're connected to. It also has the ability to transfer or receive data and save it to disk, which is what we're going to take advantage of right now. We're going to transfer a single file, which lets us build and install a single program, which will give us a much better transfer capability. As I said, the COM program does let you transfer files, but it's not very good when it misses a few characters here and there, and in some cases it will do that. And once you start losing characters or missing characters that are coming across, especially if it's a program file that you're transferring, then you'll have all sorts of problems getting that program to run. So we're going to use the COM program to transfer a program that's called Xmodem. And Xmodem is a standalone application, standalone program that facilitates the transfer from another computer a handful of bytes at a time, and checks to see if there's errors and requests a resend until it gets the whole file without any errors. So to start the COM program, we'll type COM, C-O-M-M, followed by the driver, which is *CL. COM is running. Now, I'll look at the menu of the COM program. Everything in the COM program is basically a function that you turn on and off, or a function that you activate. Now, there are no function keys on a TRS-80. Well, there's 3 of them, F1, F2, and F3. But there's a lot more functions that need to be worked with, so the COM program uses a different method. They use the clear key as like a shift key or something like that. And holding down the clear key and hitting one of the numbers on the top row of the keyboard allows you to select and activate functions. If I hit clear 8, you'll see the list of functions that are available. On the screen you can see numbers 1 through 0 plus the colon plus the minus symbol. That matches the top row of the TRS-80 keyboard. Some of the items that we're going to use in this COM program is the 8B, which stands for 8-bit transfer. We're going to use file receive, which is the *FR. We're going to use DTD, which is called dump to disk. That allows us to save files to disk. Now, these asterisks that you see here indicate that that feature is on. Right now, I don't want dump to disk to be on. What I will do is, you can see here the words on and off, and what that means is if I hit clear colon, that will trigger the on feature for one of the other functions I select. And if I hit clear minus, that'll turn off the feature I select. So basically you select a feature and then you select if you want it on and off. So for dump to disk, to turn it off, I'll hit clear 7 to activate dump to disk, and then I'll hit clear minus to turn it off. If I hit clear 8, I can see my changes. Notice dump to disk is off now, because there's no asterisk below it. I do want to turn on 8-bit mode, so 8-bit is the key 9, so clear 9. Oh, sorry, did this wrong. Anything on the top side, I have to use a shift, so it's clear shift 9, and then clear colon to turn that on. I'll hit clear 8, and you can see here that that feature is now turned on. So I want to get this computer ready to start receiving a file from the other computer and store it into the memory buffer, and then once I receive that, I'll write that memory buffer to the disk. I have to activate the file receive mode. This is where things kind of change a little bit. If I hit clear 6, I'll select the file receive function. If I hit clear 9, where it says ID, it'll specify or ask me for a file name. So I'll do clear 6, clear 9. It's asking me for a file name. Now the file I'm going to transfer is called, I think it's xmdm242/BAS, which means it's going to be a file that's written in BASIC, and I'm going to store that on disk 1, the one I just formatted, so :1. I'll hit enter. Okay, it opened the file on the TRS-80. Now we'll go over to the PC and get the file ready to send from the PC. I apologize for all the glare on this screen. There's very little I can do about it right now, but hopefully you'll be able to see what goes on. Okay, on TerraTerm on the PC, I'll go under the File menu and I'll choose Send File. file requester comes up, and I go to the location where I have the file I want to transfer. In this case, I have it on an external drive. In my emulation folder, Tandy files, and it's called XMDM. There it is, XMDM2412.bas. It's a little different than what I typed in on the TRS-80, but that's okay because I'll just use the name on the TRS-80 that I put in when it gets transferred. So I'll select this file here, but before I hit send, or before I hit open, which will immediately start the transfer, I got to ready the TRS-80, get it ready to receive the file. Now on the TRS-80, I have to turn the file receive on to get it ready to receive. And to do that, we activate file receive, which is clear 6, and then we turn it on with clear : Now it's ready to receive the file. So I'll go over to the PC and I'll hit the open button, and that'll start sending the file over to this computer. And you'll see on the screen, you'll see the file transfer as it gets sent over. And this is the basic program in raw text, transferring over to the memory buffer in the TRS-80. It takes a little while to transfer over at 300 baud, but the reason why I'm doing it at 300 baud is I want to make sure I don't miss any data. So I'm going to send it slow enough that it won't get tripped up. And here's the real key that lets me see that if it's coming over okay. All these lines here that start with data all have a fixed amount of characters. As long as I don't see any shortened lines or overly extended lines, that means the data's coming across nice and clean. So we'll wait this one out and look to see if anything, doesn't come up quite right. Okay, the file is completely transferred. This last line here is shorter, but that's okay. The last line can be short because that's the end of the raw data. So now I need to dump this to the disk. And the dump to disk feature, if I hit clear 8, is DTD, it's 7, so I'll hit clear 7, followed by an on, which is clear : Now it's writing to disk 1. It's dumping the file out. Now that it's done running, I'll hit clear 7 and then turn it off with clear minus. And then finally I have to turn off the file receive buffer, which is clear 6, clear minus. Along with clear 6, clear 0. The clear 6, clear 0 closes the file. Okay, now that I have the file, I can exit the program, which is clear, shift, minus. That will take us back out to DOS. Now if I look at the directory of drive 1, you can see my file transferred over here. Now I'll enter basic and load it up and run it. So I'll type basic, remember the file name, XMDM242/BAS. I'm in BASIC. I'll type load colon xmdm242/BAS :1 for drive 1. Files loaded. Now I'll list it, and you can see now it's in BASIC. Now when I run this program, what it will do is it'll open up a new file on drive 1, and it'll write out a executable file that it derives from the numbers in these data statements. These data statements hold basically the hexadecimal equivalent of all the bytes in the file. So I had the one file that I needed to transfer over, nice and easy at 300 baud, which will allow me to create a usable program that I can use to transfer files more efficiently. So I'll type run, and it's creating the file called xmodem/cmd on drive 1, and all these data text just lets me know that the program is working. Okay, it gives me two checksum values. The first checksum is the calculated value of 242. The expected checksum is the number that the author of the program calculated before he made it. And as long as these two numbers match, that means I have a valid copy of Xmodem. So let me type system here, go back to DOS and type dir:1, just to prove that we now have the Xmodem command file here. Xmodem will give us the ability to transfer any file at almost error-free, basically. So now we can use Xmodem to bring over yet another program which is more versatile. In this case, I'll be bringing over a terminal program. So this will kind of be the first real program that I'll have transferred over to this TRS-80. First thing I'll do is I'll look at my SETCOM settings. Now that I have Xmodem here, I could ramp up the speed of the transfer, so I can change my baud rate from 300 to something higher. So I'll do SETCOM, and I'll just change baud to 9600. I think this is the fastest it'll go. I've tried higher values, but it wasn't all that great, so we'll just set this to 9600. Now I'll go back over to the PC and set up a new transfer to be copied over here. The program I'm going to transfer over to the TRS-80 now is called FastTerm, or technically FastTerm 2. So in TerraTerm, I'm going to open up the File menu, and instead of choosing Send File, I can now use the Transfer submenu, which allows me to transfer in various protocols, including Xmodem. So I'll select Xmodem, and I'll select Send in the other submenu that comes up. The program I'm going to transfer is called FastTerm2 FTII.cmd. That's the file I have ready. So I'm just going to, whoops, I just realized I better not do this yet. I need to change something. I need to go under Setup, choose Serial Port, and change my baud rate to 9600 so I can match the other computer. Now we'll go under File, Transfer, Xmodem, Send, and it was FTII.cmd, and I'll have this ready to send as soon as I click on Open. Now I'll go back over to the TRS-80. On the TRS-80 side, it's really simple. I have my X modem command, which I'll type in. I choose R to receive a file, and then I type in a file specification, a file name, FTII/CMD. Remember, on the PC they use dots for the extension. Well, on the TRS-80 they use a slash, so /CMD, and I want to put that on drive 1, so :1. When I hit enter, it'll get ready to be in a receive mode, and when I click on the open button on the PC, it'll start transferring the file as small blocks of data, and you'll see the block numbers count up as it's doing the transfer, and it'll write the disk as it does the transfer, but it won't lose any data. And if it does lose some data, it will resend that block again until it looks good and keep going. So I'll have a nice clean transfer. So I'll hit enter here. Program's ready to receive. And I clicked open on the other side on the PC, and you see it's receiving block after block of data. I forget how many blocks are on here, but it counts up in hexadecimal numbers, so that's why you see numbers like 4A, 4B. And after a certain amount comes over, gets transferred over, it writes what it received to disk, and then it continues receiving more until the file's finished. Okay, when the file gets done, it exits the X modem program, and now we'll look at the directory of drive 1 just to prove that the file transferred over. FTII/CMD. There it is. I'll go ahead and run that. Actually, what I'll do is, now that I have this fast term program over here, I don't need to worry about setting up the RS-232 driver or doing setcom or anything like that anymore. The FT2 program will do all that for me with intuitive menus. So I'm going to reset the computer. I still have my disk drive 1, so I'll type FTII to run the program. And first time you run this program, you have to personalize it by putting in a name. Let me set the camera up a little higher here so you can see what's going on. And you can see at the top there's a menu of items. If you hit the F1 key on the keyboard, it'll bring up the menus, and you use the left and right arrows to choose which menu you want. First one we're going to go into is the UART menu, which allows us to change the baud rate by hitting the B button. So we'll take that up to 9600 baud. 8 words, 8 word length, 1 stop bit, no parity. That's all good. Now we'll go over to the transfer menu. I'm going to transfer another program, just for a test, to see what kind of program we can move over here and see if it works. But then you'll repeat the same process using this program for any other files that you want to transfer over. So under the transfer menu, we have a new protocol available for transferring files. It's called Y modem. When we used X modem, you may remember that we had to type in the file name we wanted to use on the TRS-80. With Y modem, all you do is tell this program to get ready to receive something, and the file name will get transferred from the other computer along with the file. So the remote computer, in this case the PC, will send the file name of every file that we send, and it will automatically be received by the TRS-80 and saved under the appropriate file. What's more is you can send a batch of files in one shot. So you can pick more than one program on the PC and send them all at once, and then the TRS-80 will receive each one with the file name and write each file out as a new file on the disk. Very convenient. So I'm going to get Y modem ready to go here by choosing Y from the transfer menu, and the file line here puts the cursor there. It asks me what file do I want. Well, I'm not specifying a file name, so I'll just put the drive number that I want to save all the files it receives. So file number 1, or disk 1 basically is what that stands for. So when I hit enter, it'll get ready to receive files from the Windows PC and save it on disk 1. I'm not going to hit enter yet. I'm going to get my files ready to go on the PC first. Okay, on the PC side, I'll go in TerraTerm again. I'll go File, Transfer. This time I'll use Y modem, and I'll choose Send. Now this will bring up a larger file requester. I am going to pick files that end with CMD. So I'm going to change my file filter here and see which files I have here that have that ending. So I have a bunch here that are CMD files, which are equivalent to executable command files in a TRS-80. Some of these may or may not work because they might be for a TRS-80 Model IV, and that might not run quite right on the Model IV. So let's see what I got here. I got some miscellaneous files here. Okay, I'll send these 3 over. One's called Draw3, one's called Eliza, and the other one's called Psycho. I'll just select them all, and I'll get ready on the open button on the PC. I'll go over to the TRS-80 and hit enter to start the Y modem receive. Okay, get ready to receive now. I'll hit enter, and it tells me block 0, and it's ready to receive. So I'll go over to the PC real quick and hit open. Now as you can see, files are coming over. The first file is draw3/cmd. So it's receiving all the blocks of that file, and it's writing to disk as it receives it. That file's finished. Now the next file, Eliza, is coming over. Automatically adjusting the name as needed. Eliza is one of the larger programs. And the last program, Psycho. Okay, disk activity is over. We haven't received a new file name yet, and it's waiting to receive the next file. But there are no more files to send, so I'm done here. I can hit the break key to stop the file transfer, and I'll hit the break key again to allow me to go out to DOS. And the contents of disk 1 shows us. There's Draw3, there's Eliza, and there's Psycho. Let's make sure these worked. So I'll put in Psycho to run that program and see what happens. If all went well, this program will run. Okay, it didn't run. It actually went into debug mode. Let's try another program here. Like I said, some of these programs may or may not run depending on if they were for the Model 3 or the Model 4. I may have transferred some Model 3 programs over. Let's try, is it Draw 3? No, that did something else. Okay. These might be all Model 3, and let's see. I might have a Model 3 boot disk here. The TRS-80 Model IV will load up into Model 3 mode if you have the right boot disk. So I have an LDOS 5 boot disk for Model 3. Let's see, where did I put that? Yeah, the problem with the old disk systems, you never have the right disk handy when you need it. So let's put in LDOS 5, reset the computer, put in my date again, and now we'll try Psycho. I still have disk and drive 1, so it should search for it. And there it is. It's asking me for some parameters. I'm just going to hit enter. Okay, it's a little screen draw program, so there we go. We have successful file transfers. Now I'm free to transfer all the files I care to put on the disk from the PC over to the TRS-80. Hopefully you'll be able to do the same thing with ease and start enjoying your TRS-80 for what it is, and not necessarily through emulation.